Alright, coaster fans on the channel, if there are any of you, Kentucky Kingdom has made the announcement for their 2019 coaster edition. First new coaster since 2016, I believe, with Storm Chaser. And this one was a little bit unexpected, and I think it kind of shocked everyone with what this ended up being. We knew for a while the name was Kentucky Flyer. This is actually a Gravity Group wooden coaster, family wooden coaster, which is really weird that it's a wooden coaster with the name Kentucky Flyer. Now, let me say that I'm not necessarily surprised by the family coaster part, because I feel like if it was a large scale thrill coaster, construction definitely would have started by now. There's no way that they'd be able to have a large scale thrill coaster open in 2019, or at least the beginning of 2019, at this point without beginning construction. So I kind of, in the back of my mind, the whole time, thought this is probably a family coaster. I'll let myself be pleasantly surprised if it's not, but it probably is. And so I kind of rolled with that, and ended up I was right. Where I was wrong was the wooden coaster part. See, with the name Kentucky Flyer, I was thinking either a flying coaster or an invert coaster. Those are the only two types of coasters that I could really associate with flying and airplanes and stuff like that in my mind. Um, and now I kind of ruled out flying coaster because that would be in the large scale thrill coaster category. Construction probably would have started by now if that's what it ended up being. So I rolled out flying coaster, but I kind of thought a family invert coaster. They already have a large scale thrill invert in T3, but I thought that the possibility was still open for a family invert, maybe from B&M or Vekoma, like the one Dollywood's getting this year. But it ended up being a wooden coaster, which I find to be a really odd choice. Not necessarily an odd choice, I guess. I think that a family wooden coaster from Gravity Group sounds excellent. I personally think Gravity Group's a bit underrated. While I've never ridden a Gravity Group coaster, all the coasters they built look absolutely amazing, and I really want to be able to ride one day. But they haven't really been getting the same popularity as a lot of other manufacturers recently. So it's nice to see another Gravity coaster going in, this one particularly close to where I live. But where I find it interesting is that it's a wooden coaster that goes with the name Kentucky Flyer and the theme of airplanes. I mean, we know Kentucky Kingdom's not that great at theming. You look at something like Lightning Run. That thing has blue track and purple trains. How do the colors blue and purple in any way correspond to a blast of lightning? And then like Storm Chaser, you've got like Little Tikes Duplo cars is what Coaster Studios called them, which is pretty accurate. I mean, I'm not really sure why you put something like that on a coaster about chasing storms. Not really sure why you went with a red track on a coaster about chasing storms. They just don't seem to be very good at theming, which I guess is okay, I guess. It's kind of a smaller park, so you don't really go expecting extensive theming, and you definitely don't get it. I assume that these trains, since they're Timberliner trains, and a lot of the Timberliners have theming elements on them, it'll probably have like a plane head on the front with propellers and like plane wings on the back or something like that. But I still just find that really weird for a wooden coaster. But if you look at Kentucky Kingdom's coaster lineup, I think a family coaster like this is exactly what they needed, honestly. They already have three large scale thrill coasters, and they, or I actually think they might have more than three. Yeah, three, maybe four if you count the other wooden coaster they already have, large scale thrill coasters. Only one kiddie coaster, and so I think a middle of the road thrill coaster is really something they're lacking and really something they need to have, and I feel like that's what this ride will be. It's not a kiddie coaster for sure, not an extreme level thrill coaster either. It's kind of a middle of the road type family ride, which is really, I think, exactly what they needed. Like I said, I like everything about what I'm seeing here except for the name Kentucky Flyer and the airplanes. Someone please explain to me how the heck you theme up a wooden coaster to planes and flying in Kentucky. I don't quite get it, but I'm assuming that this will be an incredibly smooth ride with the Timberliners and all that fun stuff. Um, let's go ahead and look at those stats real quick. It's going to have a length of 1,200 feet, which is pretty dang short. But again, this is a family ride, and obviously it wasn't going to be that big because construction hasn't even started yet. So 1,200 feet, kind of a shorter coaster that they can complete in the time they need to complete. Not super long, but long enough to supply some kind of thrill, I suppose. It's got a 45-foot tall drop, which that's kind of the middle of the road drop. It's still tall enough to kind of have a little kick to it for older riders, but also small enough it's not going to freak out kids, which goes with the kind of middle of the road attraction that this is going to be. Obviously, it doesn't have any inversions. It's a 52-degree vertical angle, which I never look at vertical angles that much because I've been on really steep coaster drops that weren't that great and not very steep coaster drops that were super thrilling. So it kind of more depends on the quality of the drop, if you know what I mean, than the actual drop itself. It does have 54-degree bank angles, though, which is pretty nice, I guess. I mean, most coasters don't really disclose the banking angles, so there isn't much to compare there. But it's also going to have 12 different points of airtime, which is really nice, and that's where I think this ride will really start to appeal to older guests because it's got that airtime. Now, how much airtime it's going to have, not exactly sure. This thing's only going 35 miles an hour, which I still find pretty impressive with only a 45-foot drop, probably because those Timberliner trains can go pretty fast. But only 35 miles an hour, so it's not going to be like lightning rod airtime or anything like that for sure. Um, but I feel like it'll give a decent little pop of airtime. You don't want to have too much airtime on a middle of the road ride like this because it's got to be a family ride that the kids can enjoy as well. And if it's hauling and setting you up to the moon with crazy ejector airtime, then it's not going to appeal to the kids like it needs to. So I think 12 airtime points would probably be just a little bit of floater, just enough to make the ride not boring for older people, adults, teenagers, that kind of thing. And I think it's going to work really, really well. The main point where people are kind of making fun of this ride is that it was done in Planet Coaster, at least the little rendition they have. They haven't given us a POV, which I think is kind of dumb because if they already have the ride pulled up and rendered on Planet Coaster, all you have to do is just hit like the POV button and just give us a POV, but they didn't do that. Neither is there any off-ride footage. We can just see it, chilling there. It's kind of an out and back type layout, but not exactly that long. Like I said, it's a shorter track length, so it still doesn't really span that much space. Although I am really interested as to where the heck they're going to put this in the park, but I'll get to that in a second. Um, you can see in the station, the trains, the Timberliners, are only going to have two segmented car sections. But other people have pointed out this is a pretty dang small park, Kentucky Kingdom. They don't exactly need to be as concerned about ride capacity as a place like Cedar Point or Kings Island would need to. There's not that many people coming through this park riding stuff, so it's okay to have a lower capacity ride like this. Now, what's not answered here is whether this runs one or two trains. I would assume two, because there appears to be a brake run on the other side of the station, although we can't see it very well. So I'd assume two trains, but you never really know. They probably could get by running one train. The only thing that concerns me about that is during particularly crowded days, this thing only has two cars. And I think this is going to end up being a really popular ride because it is middle of the road and everyone can enjoy it. That's kind of why Fire Chaser Express at Dollywood always has like a 2-hour line. It's obnoxious, but it's because it's one of those middle of the road rides a lot of people can enjoy, and that's what this is going to be for this park. So it's a little concerning for me capacity wise. So here's Kentucky Kingdom. You can see Storm Chaser here, and if we move a little bit, you can see the wooden coaster I always forget the name of up there. That's fun. There's T3 way over there, and yeah, so that's Kentucky Kingdom. There's Lightning Run over there. And at first glance, it looks like there's not very much space to work with anywhere within Kentucky Kingdom, really. But when you look, there's actually a lot more space in between attractions than you'd originally think. And this is a small coaster. I really think it could probably fit right here. I don't think they'll put it right here, but it probably could fit right here. Kind of get what I'm saying? It's only a 1,200 foot coaster, and that's both ways. So it's like 600 feet each way. So that's pretty small. You could probably fit this in a lot of places. I really have no idea where it's going to be. I wish they would at least tell us that, but whatever. It could kind of go anywhere in the park, I think. It's not really space constrained. Yeah, well, I've basically just done a full analysis of this coaster without really meaning to. I meant to just sit down and just kind of give my thoughts, but I guess this is more of an analysis video now because we've kind of gone through everything about this ride only in about 10 minutes. There really wasn't much to digest here. The main thing is a lot of people are still shocked that it's a family coaster, but I mean, come on, guys. I'm still shocked it's a wooden coaster personally, and I'm still trying to comprehend the fact that they're theming a wooden coaster to airplanes. Like, I know I've said that like 3 times in this video, but someone please explain to me how you theme a wooden coaster to airplanes. I mean, I guess you could theme a coaster to whatever you want. I mean, Alton Towers themed a wooden coaster to fire. That's kind of dumb in my opinion, but that they did it. So I mean, I guess you could theme a wooden coaster to planes. Like I said, Kentucky Kingdom's not that heavy on the theming anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But those are kind of my thoughts and analysis of Kentucky Flyer Kentucky Kingdom. And hey, that's good. So I don't have to make an empty promise like I did with every other coaster saying, hey, I'm going to do an analysis, and then I never did an analysis video for any of those coming in 2019 coasters. I just never had time, so I never did. And so now I don't have to make another empty promise because I just did the analysis for this one now. But be sure to leave a like on this video if you want to see analyses of Yukon Striker and Copperhead Strike and whatever else is coming in 2019 I forgot about, because I might actually go back and do those things, those analysis videos, if it means something to you guys. So just like this video, and the more likes this video gets, more likely I'll be to go back and do that stuff. So anyways, I will hopefully see you guys later. Be sure to comment any thoughts you have down below, and I'm out. Bye-bye.